Right. So today we're going to take a deep dive into something a little different. We're going to look at the interview questions for people who want to be casino dealers.
Okay.
And, when you think about it, it might seem kind of niche, but these questions are really fascinating.
Yeah.
Because they kind of give us a glimpse into what casinos are really looking for in the people that they trust
Right.
to, handle their money and interact with all these different people who are coming in, to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very specific environment and, it's high stakes.
Right?
And it's fast paced. So you really have to have a certain personality type.
Right.
And I think these questions will really reveal that.
Exactly. So for all of you listening out there, whether you're thinking about a career change
Okay.
and, maybe a little bit of a twist,
Right.
or if you're just interested in like the behind the scenes of how things work,
Yeah.
this deep dive is going to unpack all the hidden meanings behind these questions.
Right.
So we're not just looking at the surface level answers.
That's right.
We're going to really get into like the nitty gritty.
Yeah, the psychology behind it.
Exactly.
What are they really getting at?
Right. So the source material for our deep dive today is an article titled 6 Casino Dealer Interview Questions.
Okay.
And it's published by ATTA. Now, this is where things get a little interesting.
Right.
Because ATTA is the Adventure Travel Trade Association.
Okay.
So, you wouldn't immediately think that they would be the ones to be like, hey, these are the casino questions.
Right.
But maybe there is a connection there.
Yeah.
Adventure travel, high stakes.
Risk.
Risk.
Managing risk.
Right.
High pressure situations.
So maybe they know a thing or two.
Maybe.
So they've outlined what they consider the 6 most common questions that aspiring dealers will face.
Okay.
So are you ready to dive in?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. So let's start with the first question. And it is the classic, why do you want to be a casino dealer?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one right out of the gate.
Right. And the typical answer they're looking for is going to include things like a genuine interest in the gaming industry,
Okay.
a passion for providing excellent customer service,
Yes.
and a real enjoyment of that fast-paced casino atmosphere.
That's key.
Right. So, they want to hear that the candidate is excited about the opportunity and ready to bring their A game.
Right.
But let's dig a little deeper here.
Yeah.
What are they really trying to uncover with this question?
I think it goes beyond just the surface level enthusiasm for casinos or for games.
Right.
I think what they're trying to gauge is whether the candidate truly understands the core of the job,
Right.
which is, it's a duality. It's
Yeah.
about the games, the technical skills of dealing the cards,
Right.
but it's equally, if not more, about being the face of the casino
Right.
and managing those interactions with customers.
Right.
And often these interactions are happening in a very emotionally charged environment.
Right.
Because, people are winning, people are losing. There's a lot of excitement.
Right. And sometimes frustration.
Exactly.
So right out of the gate, they're looking for someone who gets that it's not just about shuffling and dealing.
Right.
It's about people.
It's about people's skills. It's about being able to read people.
Exactly. So what does that tell us about the casino's priorities?
I think it really highlights the importance of customer service in a casino setting. Even though the games are the central activity,
Right.
the dealers, they're really on the front lines.
Right.
They're interacting with the customers. They're creating that experience.
Right.
And so a skilled dealer can actually enhance a customer's enjoyment,
Yeah.
even if they're losing.
Right.
It's about that interaction. It's about making them feel welcome.
Okay.
And it's about creating a positive atmosphere.
Okay. So they want to make sure that the first impression is a good one.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's move on to the second question, which really gets into those people skills.
Yeah.
And the question is, can you explain a time when you had to handle a difficult customer?
Oh, yeah.
And the example answer they provide in the article
Right.
is a situation where the candidate
Okay.
recounts a previous job in the service industry,
Right.
and they had to deal with an intoxicated and disruptive customer.
That happens.
Yeah.
Especially in that environment.
Right. And the key takeaways they highlight are remaining calm and professional,
Okay.
actively listening to the customer's concerns,
Right.
even if they're not making a lot of sense,
Right.
and knowing when to involve a manager to de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, I think that's huge because you can't always handle everything yourself.
Exactly. So what do you think they're really trying to assess here?
I think it's all about how the candidate handles pressure.
Right.
and how they respond to challenging situations.
Right.
Because in a casino, emotions are high.
Right.
Stakes are high.
Right.
And there's always the potential for things to get out of hand,
Right.
especially when you have alcohol involved.
Right.
So they want to know that the candidate can stay cool.
Yeah, okay.
They can follow procedures,
Right.
and they know how to keep a situation from escalating.
Right. So for everyone listening, think about what's really at stake here.
Yeah.
It's not just like, a spilled drink at a restaurant.
Right.
This could be someone disputing a hand.
Yeah.
Someone getting aggressive.
Accusations flying.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the dealer needs to be able to keep things under control.
Right.
And to maintain a safe environment for everyone.
Yeah.
And the fact that they emphasize involving a manager also tells us something.
Yeah. What's that?
It shows that they're looking for someone who's a team player.
Right.
Someone who knows when to ask for help.
Knows their limits.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, let's move on to question number 3.
Okay.
Which gets into the actual skills of the job.
Okay.
What is your experience with the games offered in this casino?
All right. So now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And a solid answer here would include experience dealing a variety of games,
Okay.
like blackjack,
Right.
poker,
Baccarat.
baccarat, roulette.
Roulette. Yeah. All the classics.
Right. But it also goes beyond just naming the games.
Right.
They want to hear that the candidate is familiar with the specific rules and procedures of that casino.
Of that specific casino,
Right.
not just general rules,
Right.
because every casino might have little variations.
Right.
They might have their own specific ways of doing things.
Exactly. So what does that tell us about what they're looking for in a candidate?
I think it shows that they value versatility
Okay.
because different games have different paces.
Right.
They attract different types of players.
Right.
So being proficient in multiple games
Right.
makes a dealer more adaptable
Right.
and more valuable to the casino.
Right. Because they can move you around.
Exactly. They can plug you in wherever they need you.
Right. And the fact that they want them to know the specific rules
Right.
shows attention to detail.
Initiatives
Right.
that they've done their homework.
Exactly. So they're not just looking for someone who can deal cards.
Right.
They're looking for someone who's a professional.
Who's prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4 brings in the money.
Okay.
Can you describe a time when you had to handle a large amount of money?
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
Right. And the example answer they give is someone with previous banking experience.
Oh, interesting.
Right. And they talk about their training in counting and verifying cash
Okay.
and handling large sums.
Right.
And the importance of accuracy and attention to detail.
So it's not just about like, I worked in a retail job and I handled cash.
Right.
This is a different level.
Exactly. So what do you think they're trying to get at here?
I think this really highlights the financial responsibility that comes with being a casino dealer
Right.
because you are entrusted with large sums of money,
Right.
both the casino's money and the customer's money.
Yeah.
And it's a fast-paced environment.
Right.
Things are happening quickly.
Right.
So they need someone who's reliable,
Right.
someone who's accurate,
Right.
and someone who can handle that pressure.
Right. And the fact that they use banking experience as an example
Right.
really speaks volumes.
Yeah, it shows the level of trust that they're looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for you, the listener, what other professions come to mind when you think about this kind of responsibility?
Yeah. Where else do you see that combination of handling huge sums of money
Right.
and needing to be absolutely meticulous?
Exactly.
Think about accountants.
Right.
You think about maybe certain roles in finance.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that parallel.
Right. All right, let's move on to question number 5,
Okay.
which deals with stress.
All right.
How do you handle stress and pressure in a fast-paced environment?
That's a good one.
Right. And the suggested strategies include staying organized,
Okay.
prioritizing tasks,
Maintaining a positive attitude. Right.
taking breaks when needed,
Right.
and communicating effectively with colleagues.
Right. So it's about being able to manage the chaos.
Yeah, because the casino floor can be a very chaotic place.
Right.
You've got the sounds of the slot machines.
Right.
You've got people talking.
Right.
You've got the cards being dealt.
Right.
Money changing hands.
Right.
It's a lot of sensory input.
Exactly. So they need someone who can stay focused.
Stay calm.
Right.
And stay efficient.
Exactly. And the mention of communicating with colleagues is interesting too,
Yeah, why is that?
because it shows that even though the dealer is often working independently
At their table.
at their table,
Right.
they're still part of a larger team.
Absolutely.
So they need to be able to communicate effectively,
Right.
whether it's about you know, a difficult customer,
Right.
or just making sure that everything is running smoothly.
Yeah, keeping the flow going.
Exactly.
It's an ecosystem. Right. All right. And finally, question number 6 looks to the future.
Okay.
What are your long-term career goals?
So they're not just looking for someone to fill the position.
Right.
They want to know what your aspirations are.
Exactly. And the example answer they give is someone who wants to advance within the industry,
Okay.
learn more about casino operations,
Right.
maybe move into a supervisory or management role.
Okay.
And they emphasize their willingness to work hard and learn.
So they're showing that they're ambitious,
Right.
but they're also humble.
Right.
They're willing to start at the bottom and work their way up.
Exactly. So what does that tell us about the casino's hiring philosophy?
I think it suggests that they're looking for people who are invested,
Okay.
who see this as a career path,
Right.
not just a job.
Right.
Because those are the people who are going to be more engaged,
Right.
more motivated,
Right.
and ultimately more valuable to the company.
Exactly. They want someone who's going to stick around.
Right.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to mention something else the article included.
Okay, what's that?
They provided a list of related job titles,
Oh, interesting.
and it's quite extensive.
What are some of the examples?
So you've got things like
Oh.
baccarat dealer,
Okay.
blackjack dealer,
Right.
croupier,
Right.
card game operator,
Okay.
card grader.
Wow, that's specific.
I know, right?
So there's like a whole hierarchy
It seems like it.
of different roles within the casino.
Right. So what do you make of that?
I think it highlights the specialization that exists within the casino industry.
Okay.
You know, it's not just one generic dealer job.
Right.
Different games require different skills,
Right.
different levels of expertise,
Right.
and they attract different types of players. So
Right.
there are definitely opportunities for growth and advancement
Right.
as you gain experience and specialize in certain games.
Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think it's clear that being a casino dealer is not just about knowing the rules of the games.
Right.
It's a much more multifaceted role than that.
Right.
You need technical skills.
Right.
You need exceptional people skills.
Right.
You need to be able to handle money responsibly.
Right.
You need to be able to stay calm under pressure.
Right.
And you need to maintain a professional demeanor at all times.
Right. So it's a demanding job,
It is?
but it's also potentially very rewarding.
I would agree with that.
Right. So if you're thinking about a career in the casino industry,
Okay.
keep these insights in mind.
Absolutely.
And for those of you who aren't necessarily interested in dealing cards,
Right.
I think there's still a lot to learn here
Yeah.
about the kind of skills that are valued in high-pressure environments.
Right.
Think about it.
Okay.
Customer interaction,
Financial accuracy,
stress management.
teamwork.
These are all skills that are transferable to a wide range of industries.
Absolutely.
So even if you never step foot on a casino floor,
Right.
you can still benefit from understanding what it takes to succeed in that kind of setting.
It's a microcosm of the working world in a way.
Exactly. So that's it for our deep dive today.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.
And good luck at the tables.
If you happen to be in a casino.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See you later.